Hi, everybody. Welcome to Unique Genius in 33. This is our third week. We're going to push those threes a little bit further. And I am here talking to Anna Pilon today up in Canada, who's going to be sharing with us everything she loves and may not love about her talent of adaptability. I'm super excited that you're here today, Anna. Can you do me a favor and introduce us to you, your top five, and a little bit about what you do?
Sure. I'm Anna Pilon, as you just said. My top five are adaptability, strategic, individualization, includer, and maximizer. So what do I do? I like helping people achieve their dreams. So I'm kind of the left brain to the right brain, or the right brain to the left brain, whichever one you are. You need. I swing both ways.
Yeah. You can be whatever side the other person needs most, right?
Exactly. And that's the wonderful part about adaptability. I can be what you need. I am the chameleon.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So what is great about adaptability? According to Gallup, the short definition of adaptability are people exceptionally talented in the adaptability theme prefer to go with the flow. They tend to be now people who take things as they come and discover the future one day at a time. How's that sound to you, Anna?
That's me to a T.
Totally relate to it, do you?
Totally, completely relate. Actually, before I discovered strengths, I just sometimes was frustrated with myself because I had no clue why didn't matter. You know, I just, whatever happens, I can go with it. Then when I discovered strengths and that adaptability is my top strength, that, oh my God, this explains so much about who I am and what I am. And I'm not as flaky as I thought.
Right. No, it's kind of nice to get that confirmation, right? And in a positive way that it's maybe not as bad as we thought.
Yeah. And
good thing.
Yeah. It was really nice to find out that it's actually a strength and not a character flaw.
Great. So we are on here today and we always start a little bit with our celebration and then our evaluation. So celebrate is what is really awesome about your adaptability. So I'm going to read 4 points here, and then I would just love to hear from you if these resonate with you, if you feel like we've got this nailed, and if there's anything you want to add there, that's fine too. So if you have adaptability, we want you to celebrate how you are able to go with the flow, that you have a spontaneous nature, that you adjust pretty seamlessly to new situations, and you have incredible flexibility.
No arguments there.
None whatsoever. Perfect.
None whatsoever.
All right. So on the evaluation side, this is what we say to evaluate the talent, so that if you're a little bit on the raw side, because talents do have weakness within them, right? If we're in an overuse pattern or not quite matured or not really at the strength level. So the evaluate questions for adaptability is this change really necessary? Am I blindly following others? Is my flexibility preventing clarity or understanding? Does this situation require a solid decision? Do you ever find that those would be helpful questions to ask?
Yes, sometimes. Usually because I'm so spontaneous, it's usually after. It's like, why did I just do that? But I truly do live by the motto that things happen for the reason. Things happen for a reason. And I may not understand the reason in the moment, but, moments, days, years, centuries later, you get, oh, that's what that was all about. So it does come. It does come.
Right. Fantastic. No, I love that. And so we're going to move on into our questions now. And as you know, we've got 33 minutes to cover this. We're now at 28, so we're doing great. First question is, what do you love about your adaptability?
Wow, that's actually a really good one. And what I do love the most about it is that it is easy for me to just go with the flow. I'm happy to join whatever's going on because some part of it's interesting. I mean, everything has merit and everything could be interesting. Do I want to go diving, you know, cageless with sharks? Not a chance in. But my son-in-law did it last fall in South Africa, and listening to him, the stories were fantastic. The videos are incredible. But do I see myself doing it? No. But it's still interesting. And that's one of the things I love about adaptability, is that everything has a level of interest. And I think that's also what makes me the coach that I am, because your story is interesting and I can relate to some parts of it, and other parts I may not be able to relate to it, but I do. Oh, I can't hear you.
That's fine. It's okay.
Okay.
I'll talk to my son really quickly. Don't worry.
Okay. Well, when I heard nothing, I thought, oh no, did my speaker go out of whack? So the things that are wonderful about adaptability is that there are no limits to what you can do or may want to do. Everything has a level of interest. And the other thing about it is I may pick up, you know, a pair of knitting needles and a thing of yarn and start knitting and finish whatever it is I'm done. And go, yeah, okay, done with that. Don't need it a second time. Find me something new.
And they're done that. Let's move on to the next thing. That'll be fine. Thank you.
Yeah. It gets costly if you think you need all the tools before you start.
Right. So on the other side of that coin then, what drives you crazy about your adaptability, or maybe drives other people crazy about your adaptability?
Well, the same thing. Some days it would just be so easy to just be content with what's there instead of looking at all the options. And sometimes it's kind of like, have you ever done this? And I don't know if this is an adaptability thing or something else. You go on Netflix and I just want to watch something short and sweet. And an hour later, you're still trying to figure out what you want to watch. That's the part of adaptability that drives me crazy.
A little bit of that indecisiveness that comes with it, right?
Yeah. So
do you need pressure? So we talk about activator and adaptability frequently being the types of talents that need a little bit of pressure to get started, right? That you may look like you're procrastinating, but you're not really.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. I need finite times to get things done. One of the other little professions I have is I help people do their income tax. Okay. And the nice thing about that is there is a deadline. Now, mind you, I've attracted all these people who used to be extremely late. So, but a deadline helps me kind of, okay, this is all you have to do this. And with life experience, I now realize that you cannot do an hour job in 5 minutes. So so that's kind of maybe a learning curve to adaptability is you want to do it all, but there's still only 24 hours in a day. And even if you could expand your day to 30 hours, you still wouldn't have enough time to do everything you think you want to do. So having a finite deadline makes it easier to get things done because I don't have any choice beyond that. Okay, I can't hear you.
Thank you. Sorry.
No problem.
Sort of in a busy city, busy area, so trying to keep the background noise down. So I think that's a really good segue right there of that's a need that you have as adaptability, right? That's sort of a little bit of a need of pressure. Is there anything else you would want someone to know about you and adaptability and how it affects you that you think would help them understand you a little bit better, or others with adaptability?
I am not fickle. I am not flaky. I just truly do enjoy all of the choices. Sometimes it appears like I just jump into things, and that's not true, because the other side of adaptability is I look at all of the choices before I make one.
Right, and you have strategic there too, and maximizer. So that's going to help balance some of that adaptability, go with the flow, right?
Yeah, and go with the flow is, so what else do I like to, someone to know about it? It's that when I say I don't care, it isn't that I don't care about you. I don't care what the end result is. For instance, planning my big 6-0 birthday this fall, I just know I wanted to celebrate it with friends. And the destination hasn't changed a whole lot, but what we're going to do changes a lot. And I'm sure some of my friends are going, oh my God, would you just make up your mind?
As one of those friends, I would just like to say, I'm all in. I'm really kind of with you. Like, we'll see what plans out. I'm sure it'll be fabulous, whatever it is. And I don't have adaptability very high, but I just know it'll be fun. So not worried.
Yeah. And so for some people who are maybe more, and I don't want to use the negative word rigid, but I can't think of anything else right now. Someone who's more structured in their life, find me maybe a bit of a challenge. And it's really interesting because my grandson, who's one of my favorite people in the whole wide world, is very much a structured person. Yet we have a lot of fun together. And I often have to say, he'll say, no, those aren't the rules. And I'll say, but who made the rules? Who cares? And then he joins in.
You sound like a grandmother with a fabulous influence on your grandson. Who cares about the rules? That's funny. And I love that you mentioned, having young kids, because when I think about adaptability, I've actually run into several parents who have discipline or achiever or a more structured type talent, right? And they have a teenager that has adaptability. And, when you say, what would you like for dinner? And they go, I don't care. Like, they're really not just trying to be difficult and not caring. I mean, there might be a little teenager in there, but oftentimes, like, they really just don't care. Mm-hmm. And I've always talked about, I think adaptability is one of those where they're best with limited number of options and let them choose, but not to give like a wide open field of possibility, because there's no way they can sort through that much information. Would that resonate with you?
Oh, perfectly. Yeah. Too many choices means I make none, because like I said, like the Netflix thing, you end up not watching Netflix. You just watch all the commercials.
Right.
Or what your choices are. And that's just, yeah.
Watch an hour of trailers. It's fantastic. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. I love that. So next question, and this is one of my favorites. What are your earliest memories of having adaptability? How do you recognize it showing up as a young person, as a young woman in your life?
Probably from just playing in the neighborhood and the kids. First of all, I'm the eldest of 7, which makes me bossy. And there's so many kids. I think there was probably about 30 kids in the neighborhood, because we lived out in the country on a, and there was a lot, French Catholic community, lots and lots of kids. So I find that my memories seem to be, if I wanted to be included, I kind of had to go with their ideas of what we were going to do. If I come up with the idea, there was some resistance, and I think that's because I like to teach. And as a kid, you just assume teachers tell you what to do. And now as an adult, I realized that that's not what teaching means at all. But as a young kid, it was like, you do that and you do this and you're going to sit there and this is what we're going to do. So the adaptability allowed me to just, okay, I'm not the teacher today, or, who wants to play school when you're on recess?
Right. And I think we talked a little bit about adaptability again as a teenager could potentially lend itself to being a little bit more easily influenced, like peer pressure.
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, and I was quite fortunate. The crowd that I hung out with, there wasn't a whole lot of peer pressure. Actually, the boys never put any peer pressure on the girls. Things are a little fuzzy and hazy from that age, that era. It's like in the 70s. So there wasn't a lot of peer pressure, but it still felt like there was, like, oh, come on, try it once. It won't hurt you. then I must have an addictive personality because I smoked way too young. Even though, like, a part of our conversation, smoking is disgusting. But I did it for 30 years before I finally went, you think it's disgusting, why are you doing this? It's a little bit peer pressure. But yes, peer pressure as an adaptability is, especially if you're not strong. And I don't know many teenagers who are on the higher vibration of their strengths.
Sure.
It's because nothing, excuse me, nothing is uninteresting. Everything is interesting. So you can try,
right.
You know, you're willing to try more than you need to. And learning to say no comes with experience later. But adaptability just says, yeah, let's try it, right?
Right. And I think that's a great point that you just made, right? Like it's not even necessarily a self-esteem issue with adaptability and falling into peer pressure. It's just that open-mindedness, interested in doing other things. And I liked what you said yesterday when we were sort of doing a little pre-interview too, is when we were talking about the peer pressure. It wasn't like anyone could get you to do anything. It was really pretty contained within your closest circle of friends, right? Like it wasn't just pressure could come from anywhere and you would go with it. It was definitely within a circle of trust, right?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I just, I don't want parents to worry that if they're having, son or daughter has adaptability, that all of a sudden they're falling into peer pressure and it's for the wrong reason. But I do think it's important to note that that could be an influencing factor for why one person follows a little bit more easily than say someone else, right? That had a different talent makeup.
Mm-hmm. So. And it was really quite interesting because the crowd I was with, most of us hid our intelligence, which is a really weird thing when I look back at it. And I have no idea what that has to do with strength. So
that's really interesting. I have to think about that because I was in with all the geeks and we were perfectly happy being smart people. And I wasn't the smartest one by any means, but I love surrounding myself with smarter people. And, like everybody was very happy to be as smart as possible. Interesting.
Yeah. Sorry, I just kind of got
That's okay.
But it was
adaptability sidetracked. What?
Why are there so many?
That sounds interesting.
In the world.
Fantastic. All right. So next question, and one of the questions I really like this one too, just because it makes us think outside a little bit. If you were to think of someone that either you admire or the type of person that might represent adaptability, either as a famous person or someone you know, who would that be and why?
Wow. Well, no personal relationship. I think because two adaptabilities would drive each other crazy.
What do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know.
Exactly.
Okay, whatever you want to do.
We'd never get anything done. So I turned to the movies because I am a movie buff and I have certain actors that I love more than others. And I realized since this question has been posed to me and I've given it some thought, the actors I admire and love and will watch in anything are the ones who are adaptable. Johnny Depp, Meryl Streep, Judi Dench, what's the other? Helen Mirren. Anthony Hopkins, yes. They become who they're showing you, right? If you want a comparison, Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise. He just changes the action in the background.
Right.
Whereas Anthony Hopkins and Johnny Depp and the ladies I mentioned, you really believe they are who they are, representing in the film. Like you don't have, they disappear. They're their own persona.
Right.
Chameleons, yeah. And that's, I think, who are your high adaptability people are.
Right. And we were even talking about Anthony Hopkins when he did that interview on Oprah, right? And he talked about how deeply he immerses himself into his characters, that he actually has to take like a break between movies to go and like regain himself. Right? Because he goes so deep into the mindset.
Yeah. And it's so true because I've seen that interview as well. And And it's so true. His spirit does not know that he is not Hannibal Lecter or any other character. And I find with adaptability, sometimes you get lost in other people's dreams. I've done it with relationships. To me, being adaptable was, okay, well, you want this, and you're really adamant about what your dream is, that I would get lost in their dream and get everything done and accomplished so that their dreams became a reality. And then you take a step back and you go, but what about me? What do I want? And that's one of the the downsides maybe to adaptability is sometimes, yes, everything's interesting, but also my interest in it is limited.
Right.
So I have discovered that instead of getting in there, and I will still get in the trenches with you for your dream and to help you accomplish what you want, but I am only going to be here when you need somebody to lean on. I am not going to hold your hand all the way to the trophy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that's a fantastic point too, is making sure that if you are high in adaptability, that you still find places to put yourself first, to do a little self-care, to have that, checkpoint or taking a temperature, if you will, of, wait, okay, am I following in somebody else's footsteps, or are these my footsteps? And is this really where I want to be? Right. And just those little checks, if you will, to make sure that you're staying on your path and haven't accidentally moved over into somebody else's path, just in the enthusiasm.
Right. Exactly. One of the tricks that I have found, and you're going to laugh, one of the things that I will do is I have to put reminders. If something's not happening now, odds are I'm not going to remember to do it. So I try my phone. For some reason, notifications is no longer working on my phone. So the other day, last night was a full moon. I wanted to maybe join a full moon circle. I'm living where I'm not from, if that makes any sense. So I'm getting to know my neighborhood. And there was a full moon ceremony last night. And I think I told you about it yesterday afternoon. I wanted to go. I have it right here stuck in front of my face. It was from 7 to 8:30. Do you know when I remember to look up at my pin board? 8:20.
Yeah.
So that's another weird thing about adaptability is because we live so much in the now, and that's great, but the things that you may want to do at a later date, I haven't found the trick yet to making sure I get there.
Right. Well, before I move on to our last question, we have about 10 minutes left. And Michael or Susan, while you're on here, do you happen to have any questions or comments for Anna that you'd like to get some answers to or a little feedback from? Feel free to throw it in the chat or jump on. Michael, go ahead and jump on.
No, I don't have any questions. Adaptability is one that I haven't looked at a lot, I haven't come across. And so I'm fascinated with what Anna has shared. And it's made me think about some situations I've been in where I probably haven't been as adaptable as I should be. And just trying to compare that to, my top 5 and how I've led. And yeah, you started to scare me there a little bit with my 4 kids. So
not trying to scare you, Michael, not trying to scare you, but I think it's good to know because a lot of times parents feel like it's this rebellious factor of kids just not wanting to do things. And really it's just coming from a different motivational space, right?
Absolutely.
And not understanding that discipline versus adaptability can bring some high conflict if it's not understood.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. Susan, I know you're back there. I don't know if you have any questions. I know you're pretty familiar with a lot of the talents that are out there. Yeah, Anna, would you mind repeating your top 5 for Susan?
Sure. Adaptability, strategic, individualization, includer, and maximizer.
Excellent. I appreciate that. All right. Oh, you're welcome, Susan. Thanks for asking. Appreciate it. And so we'll start moving into the final question. And this one doesn't have anything to do with adaptability, although you're welcome to mention it. But just in general, since knowing your strengths, what has your strengths journey been like? What would you want someone else to know about the benefits of learning your talents and what it can do for you?
Good question. When I first took the Strength Finder test was 2013, and I got the results, and I felt that whoever sent me this report got into my brain and pegged me to a T. But then I didn't know what to do with it. It was just, that's really cool, but what does that mean? And I set it aside. Just every once in a while, kind of going, yeah, that's interesting. That's the other thing to adaptability, is I want to take all the tests. But then I met Joe. I believe it was a retreat type of course, and we met online. We hit it off. Then she was stuck in Toronto for 10, 12 hours. So we went to the worst Mediterranean restaurant I have ever been in. And we chatted.
It's true. It was not great. But we went with it, right? Totally adaptable.
Totally adaptable. Like, well, we're here. And then we got chatting, and Joe told me about this little thing she did. And I went, oh, that sounds really interesting. I want to do that. I said, how much? She said 20. And I went, well, I don't have American 20s because I'm Canadian. So I handed her one anyway. And she was great, happy to take it. And then we got talking. I went, wait a minute, I've done that test. So she gives me back my 20. Which to her,
I'm honest, like $8.
And I went home and I found my test that was, I don't know, that was 5 years old, and I sent it to her. And by then we had chatted quite a bit. And I think you were pretty dead on knowing my top 5 without the report. And we've just, I've embraced the help she gives me. I may procrastinate about it, or actually adaptability about it, because there's so many other things I can do as well. And I really find that, excuse me, knowing my top 5, and by the way, one of the ones that's supposed to be really popular or really helps your life is Achiever, which is my dead last. So,
okay, mine isn't high either. We still get things done, darling.
We do. But what I'm loving about it is now when I look at somebody and I start a conversation, I want to know what their top 5 are. Not that I understand all 34, because I haven't learned that whole alphabet yet. My top 5 are the ones that I know, and a few others that like woo people fascinate me.
Right.
You know, I really want to hear everything they have to say because they're just so alive. But eventually I'll figure them all out.
Well, what I loved about you, what I love about you, and just sort of what I've loved about your journey with talents and everything so far is honestly how you've been able to really embrace your adaptability. Because I know when we first got there, it really was one of those, this is why I've had so many issues, or this is why I've struggled in certain areas, is that adaptability. And we've really been able, through some conversations and some work we've done together, kind of turn that around for you and shown and highlighted the benefit that adaptability has, especially for you, because you're a dream weaver. And even in your, we'll call it your almost past life of being a finance, being an accountant and helping with taxes and advice on financing, that you're really good with creatives. You're really good with people who are maybe a little bit more scattered, who maybe aren't the most focused people, who are super imaginative, super creative, but not very disciplined. And you're really good at meeting them where they are. And I really think, that individualization included with your adaptability is really a special gift for doing what you do and for the people that you serve.
Thank you.
So I really love the advantage that it gives you personally, because when you work with creatives, like you were saying, you can be the right brain to the left brain, right? Like you can bring some structure, but you know how to do it at their level and in a way that is going to work for them versus trying to get them to work harder for it at something that's not naturally good at them. Like you naturally have this strengths mentality with people.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's been something I've enjoyed watching with you, is just how you've actually embraced your adaptability and seen the power in it over, you know, the detriment of it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. You have really helped me navigate that self-acceptance of learning that it is okay. That sounds kind of cheesy, but it is who I am, and its value. The value of adaptability has made my life really quite interesting. And a lot of people just say, I don't know how you do it. Good for you. Power to you. I couldn't do it, but.
And you just got to say, thanks. You probably couldn't. That's okay. But I can. And that's great. Right? Like, that's why we have talent.
Exactly. Yeah.
So fantastic. Well, Anna, thank you so much for being here with us today. I really appreciate you sharing your adaptability theme with us and your stories and what you've learned along the way. I just want to remind everyone out there to check out our flash briefings. We're still going through all 34 talents to celebrate and evaluate them. We're a little more than halfway through. We just did talent number 20 today. So I hope you're out there and having a chance to listen. You can check on Alexa and just say, hey, Alexa, play the Strong Communities briefing, and it'll pop right up for you and you can enable it. Or you can also check it out on the podbean.com, which is strongcommunities.podbean.com. And of course, we'll see you here next Wednesday for Unique Genius in 33, where we will be talking analytical, I believe. So thanks for tuning in. And I look forward to seeing everybody here next week. Have a great one.
Thank you so much, Joe. It was so much fun doing this with you.
My pleasure.
Nice to see both of you, all of you. Oh.
There we go.
There, we'll just shut that off. All right, thank you so much. And I will chat with you soon.